Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Francesco Bucci to the
Hi,
program today. How are you?
I'm fine, man. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here.
I want to talk about a band that you have put together called ScreaMachine that has an album coming out on April 9th on Frontiers Records. Of course, we're Zooming now from you are over in Italy. You've got to be excited
Yes.
to get this album out. I've heard an advanced copy. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, of course, I'm very excited because, as you can imagine, this album it's ready from since about 1 year. But of course, there was a little problem called pandemic.
Yes.
So of course we were obliged to postpone just a few months because we didn't want to burn it. But now we felt with Frontier that it was the time for the world to know Scream Machine. So here I
Yeah.
am.
I saw in a, I think it was a vlog that you put out. This is sort of the music that you grew up with. You wanted to pay homage to some of the bands that you grew up on by playing classic metal with a modern twist.
Yes. Okay. The first thing that for me it's very important to say is that in part what is written there it's exact. It's right because I wanted to play the music that make me fall in love with heavy metal and still make me feel in love with heavy metal. But on the other hand, I don't want to sound like I am a tribute band,
Right.
like maybe it's not a masquerade. What I want to do is just to play that kind of sound, but I don't want Scream Machine to sound vintage. I mean, of course, the sound is taken from the 80s, but the production should be modern because we are able now to have louder guitars and thundering drums. So why to put out an album that could sound like Killers, A Number of the Beast? We already had masterpieces with that kind of sound. So that's important for me. It's to take this music in the new millennium.
Absolutely. Tell me about a few of the players in the band. I'm going to let you do the pronunciations on the name, but please introduce us to who's in the regular part of the band, and then you also had some guests on the album as well.
Sure. That tricky Italian language, I can understand you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing to know is that Scream Machine, it's a band formed by Italian musicians that that are in the that are active in the metal scene since a lot of time, so more than 20 years. So I am Francesco, and the bass player and the main songwriter and the founding member of Scream Machine. I am also the bass player of an Italian metal band called Stormlord, which is an extreme epic metal band, one of the oldest band in Italy from this kind. We exist since 1991. And the other guys that I have in the band, they are also all very wise people. Alex Mele and Paolo Campidelli, the two guitar players, they are front band Caledon from Italy too. Another very old band with a lot of albums in their discography. And then also Alfonso Corace, the drummer. It's also he came from extreme metal, he too. And then the only one which is not yet famous here in Italy, it's Valerio the Brave Caricchio, the singer, the most important part of the Scream Machine. So when we were okay, this album it's just a work of passion, of love for the music. To be honest, this project started from my idea, but I was so lucky to find, some friends that were sharing the will to play this kind of music. So one of our first ideas was to make a sort of, do you remember the song from Ronnie James Dio, We Are Stars benefit project?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I don't want to say that it's something like that, but we say, okay, let's make this album special. Let's try to keep in touch with the friends, the guitar player that we love so much here in Italy, that are our friends, and then let's see if they can put some of their solos here in the album, just to make the magic happen. So we have Simone Mularoni, which is the guitar player from DGM. another band from Frontiers, very famous in Italy and the world. They play progressive power metal.
Yeah.
We have Francesco Mattei from Noviria, another prog metal band. They are so skilled.
Yeah.
Then we have Massimiliano Pagliuso, the guitar player of Novembre, a gothic metal band, one of the first Italian metal band to become very famous outside Italy, and also the guitar player and the singer of Oceana, like Ocean, Oceana. And the last one is Andrea Angelini, which is the guitar player of Stormlord, so my band, of course. Then we have, and these were the friend of us that gave, sorry, but the throat is starting, but I'm totally healthy.
Okay.
These are the friends that were with us since the beginning, giving us their solos. Then after the deal with Frontiers, the label told us that it was possible, if we wanted, of course, also to have another couple of guests. So I say, okay, I'm a bass player and I have a dream. If it's possible to play something with Steve DiGiorgio, my life could end now. And they told me, okay, let's try to keep in touch with him. Then we give you his email address, just try. And he was such a gentleman. I keep on telling this in every interview because, I mean, it's a legend. He played in Death, in Testament, in every band you could imagine. And it was so available for us. It was incredible. And the other guest, I was searching for a singer to make a duet because I love duet. And the most important thing for me, it was not to have a power metal vocals. I mean, something very crystal clear like Michael Kiske or Timo Cotipelto, which are really great singers. But I was searching with some raspy, some raunchy vocals. And so Frontiers organized the meeting with Herbie. It's always difficult for me to pronounce his surname. It's Langans, from Firewind, and also Avantasia, Sonic Heaven. And he has this really powerful blues-like vocals that perfectly fit to the scream of Valerio, the singer. So they are singing in the song Wisdom of the Ages.
Very cool. So it sounds like you've got a real veteran band, and you had some very veteran players come in as well. But you mentioned your singer Valerio. Is it Valerio? Valerio. Okay, sorry. Excuse me. Valerio. Relatively new. You said he wasn't that famous yet, but I mean, so is he relatively new to this, or how did he fit into all this?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No one of us is famous yet.
Oh,
but,
okay.
We already had. All this. We already had our albums out. I know Valerio since the school days.
Okay.
So, and he's the most metalhead I ever met. So, he was the first man to. Came in my mind when I was thinking of this project, of this band, because what I was intended to do was to play metal the hard way. I was not searching, like I was telling you before, a crystal clear vocal, but I wanted something that could sound dangerous, like maybe James Hetfield in Kill 'Em All album.
Yep.
Okay, that kind of vocals, that it's wild, and maybe also not so correct. But this is what heavy metal is about. And also a man with attitude. And I think he's one of the greatest frontmen I ever seen. And of course, he has a lot of experience, but mainly with cover bands here in Italy. He also made some demo with also bands that sound like Nevermore, I would say. But he never get to a full-length release, just... there's no reason for that, just lucky. So I'm also happy that now the people can enjoy how good and interesting Valerio is as a frontman and as a singer.
Yeah, very good. Like I mentioned at the top, I got to hear an advanced copy of this. So I'd like to go through a few of the songs with you if you don't mind.
Sure.
Opening
Yeah, of
track.
course, I'm here.
Opening track, Demon Dome. Just a great out of the gates, opening song. And I love the video for that as well. Where was that video shot?
In a real church, of course, in an abandoned church. I want to mention the production of the video, Kinorama Studio. They also are the production that shoot the second video, the Metal Monster, because the first one was so good that we say, okay, let's make another one. And they found the location for us. I mean, we gave them the idea, about demon. We wanted something with that could look a lot like heavy metal, but without being so funny. I mean, I wanted something that, of course, was exaggerating, but not something that was grotesque, if you know what I mean. And they even, something like the good old 80s video, but without the chicks. But anyway, they were so good in understanding what we were trying to have, and they found this amazing location near Rome in an abandoned church, but that there's still it's still perfect. So that we were breathless the first time we entered there and say, wow, this is incredible. It's the best location we ever had. And yes, I love the video, and I'm very happy that the first single was Demon Dome, because Demon Dome is the first song that I wrote for the project. Nice. And when you write the first song, it's always very important because it's the song that give you the track for all the album. Because of course I had give you a kind of guide for the album, because I had this project in my mind, but until you don't start to play the guitar, you don't know how it will sound. And of course, I need a song also to explain to the musician that are with me what I had in my mind. And so it came Demon Dome, and still is my favorite song of the album. Nice. At least the favorite song that I wrote for the album.
Nice. You mentioned that the same crew made the video for the Metal Monster. I like that as well. The live shots interspliced with like the footage from like war, and then you got some sci-fi in there. Did you have a hand in any of that footage, or was that the production company as well?
No. Of course, that was some footage that was worked. We shot the playback in another fantastic location, which is an abandoned car factory. Wow. But then we also wanted something. We had the demon in the first video, so we wanted the aliens in the second. Okay. For me, it's perfectly clear.
Yeah.
So we talk about that, and of course we wanted something to spice up the video that could give the idea of this kind of extraterrestrial attack to Earth. And we had our singer dressed up like a metal dictator, who's leading this conquest. And then they also found this footage from old movies that I think it really fits good.
Yeah, great stuff. I'm gonna skip down to Dark Steel. I love the drums on that. Just a heavy tune. The time change on the solo. To me, that song had sort of an Accept type vibe to it as I was listening to it.
Yeah, we can say that. When I was, it's the most epic song, I would say, epic in epic sounding song of the album. And of course, I have something for epic music, because also my other band, Stormlord, it's all very epic, all very bombastic. When I wrote Dark Steel, I was thinking, of course, Accept are a great influences to me. They're mid-tempo, just amazing. But I also was thinking about the Ryan James Dio solo stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, you say right. And also Oman, Manila Road, all these epic and obscure band from the 80s that they were able to carry on this sound that was very, in a certain way, it was easy. It was not so over-arranged, but it sounded majestic.
Yeah, great stuff. Now I'm going to skip down to Silver Fever. I love the way this song opened with that solo over the riff. I thought that was a perfect blend, and the layered vocals.
You
I
like
really picked up
you
on
like
in that one too. I love that tune. That was a great song.
Yeah, I think it's so. It's a song that was written by Alex Mele, and the solo in the start of the song, it's his stuff. And to me, it's like the bark of the moon of the Scream Machine.
Yeah.
Of course, not. I wish it could be, but it's a song with a strong 80s feeling, and it has that kind of happiness that some of
Yeah.
the stuff from Ozzy in the middle of the 80s had it. And I think that Valerio, the singer, was able to write a really good lyrics on that. He talks about the werewolves
Right.
and the great vocal lines, because it's important to know that I write most of the music. Also, Alex write a lot of the music, but 90% of the vocal melodies are up to the singer, up to Valerio. And I think it's very talented in finding the right melody for our music.
Yeah, absolutely. We're down to my favorite track on the album right now, Dancing with the Shadows. This
Oh,
you talk epic. This song had everything. I picked up a little bit of a Maiden vibe in the breakdown just before the
yeah.
time change. I love the time change. I think the first song that really hit me with a time change was when Motley Crue came out with the Wild Side. Then you sort of
Sure.
go back to the Maiden, sort of a hallowed be thy name, kind of vibe to it.
Wow.
A lot of moving parts to this song. It was my favorite
Yes.
track on the album.
Well, it's our progressive song, I would say.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that this is the only song that the singer wrote. I mean, he got this song from in his pocket for years, and he has been playing this song with, I think, some of his previous band, but he never recorded. I mean, just in some demo form.
Yeah.
So when we were about to close the album, I mean, the songwriting for the album, he told me, "Do you mind if I make you listen to a song? If maybe you like it, maybe not. I don't know if it fits to the style of Scream Machine, because Scream Machine, it's more straight, more in your face." Say, "Okay, let me hear." Said, "Wow, this is great." Of course, he had can I say, the skeleton of the music.
Yep.
So I make some arrangements. I wrote the starting of the song with all the lead and stuff like that, but all the rest, it was about how it was the song. And I also think it's a very interesting song. It gives a lot of variety to the album, because it's different. It's more progressive. It has some strange part that could surprise the listener.
Right. Now we're down to the final track of ScreaMachine. Now, did you have the song or the band name in mind? Did it all come together at once? How did the song and the name of the band come together?
Okay. First, the name. The name was the first thing, and it just came from brainstorming. Okay, let's find a name for this band, something that could explain our sound. And I think that the name for a band is so important, because it's something that makes you dream about how the band will sound, or at least for the old people like me, because right now you just need, to go on Spotify. But back in the days, you hear this strange name like Warriors, I don't know, like Uriah Heep, and maybe we're not able to find the record in your local record store. So maybe you read some interview or some reviews, and they were talking about their music, and so you were wondering how could Uriah Heep could sound. I don't know. And sometimes you were disappointed because maybe the name were absolutely fantastic, but the music was not so much. So I think the Scream Machine perfectly describe what we are. And then there came the song. The song for Scream Machine was written also from Alex. And it was the first song that Alex wrote for Stormlord. It has a kind of power metal feeling.
Sure.
It's one of the few tracks to have this happy feeling, but I love it. It reminds me a little about, I Want Out, about German power metal, which I love it so much. And it was an idea of our singer writing the lyrics. I think this song could perfectly fit with the name of the band because it's a kind of an anthem.
Yeah,
definitely.
Even
even if it's very happy in comparison with the other song, it's something that you can sing with with your fist in the air. So we think that could work very well in a live situation.
Absolutely. So you've got this killer name, you got a great album, and the other thing that really jumped out at me was the artwork on the cover of it. Tell me a little bit about that. That's fantastic.
Well, I think it's a very mature artwork, very elegant. Okay, that's not true. The artwork is something that we wanted to be exaggerated, like the name of the band. The cover artwork artist is Gustavo Sattel. Let me check if it's his name. Gustavo Sattel, he is a very talented artist. He wrote also he also made cover for Machine Head, for Kiko Loureiro, for Steve Harris, British Lion, a lot of bands like that. And so the first cover he sent us was more elegant, I would say, more metaphysic. Instead of the monster, there was a kind of, the movie Alien, the xenomorph.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, a kind of xenomorph, something much more in the style of Giger. Okay, the Swiss artist. And we say, okay, maybe can you add more flames and more teeth and more metal, please? We say, are you sure? We say, yes, we are sure. And in the beginning, he was not so convinced at all, because he said, okay, this is gonna be funny. Say, trust me, I know it will work, because it will have a lot of flames on it. Yeah. So when there is fire, you can't go wrong. And I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Maybe I have to say that some friend of mine told me that it looks just too much like the Jugulator cover artwork of Judas Priest. I have to say that after this comparison, I look at the cover and say, okay, yes, it maybe could remind the cover of the Judas Priest album, but it's a Judas Priest album, so it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I picked up on it too. It was a little bit, reminiscent of it, but you sort of took it a step further. I thought, very good stuff.
Yeah, but it was not intentional. Yeah, it was not intentional, but it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, so you get compared to that. Yeah, you can't go wrong there. Let's talk briefly about your past. Take me back to the 14-year-old Francesco after months of begging. Finally got his first bass guitar.
Yeah. I got the first bass guitar when I was 14 years, and the reason was because I was really crazy about Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, on the Kill 'Em All album from Metallica. Right. And so I'm playing the bass because it was a misunderstanding. I mean, that sound that I hear there, it's a heavily distorted bass. And I thought, because when you're young, maybe the bass, it's not, especially in metal, it's not so straight in your face, except for Iron Maiden or Motorhead. So I was hearing this strange sound that was powerful as a guitar, but lower. I say, yeah, I think that I like this. Okay, who's playing that? It's a solo from this man, Cliff Barton. Wow, it's incredibly talented. I want to play these instruments. And I was so disappointed when I found out that the bass was not sounding like that normally. But then I immediately fell in love with that album, with that instrument so much. And I think I am one of the few bass players that actually started with bass. Because normally, our bass players are all field guitar players. And I started with bass, and then of course I started also to play guitar, because to songwrite, especially rock and metal with guitar, it's more natural, even if I write something with bass too. Especially in Dark Steel, for example, or the bass riff, with the vocals on, with the recitating vocal. But of course, it's easier to make a metal riff with guitar. But I started with bass, and I never complain about that. I love this instrument, and my parents, of course, bought me. They were not convinced at all, because they say, okay, we are gonna buy you this stuff, and you are gonna forget about it in 1 month. But I say, no, please, let me have it. And I never lose the passion for that instrument.
Were you self-taught, or did you take lessons at all, or?
I took a few lessons, just the what I need to know how to tune it, how to play without making my hands hard, which is very important, very important, because you can make a lot of damage if you don't have someone who teach you how to put the hands on instruments, and maybe some rudiments of music. But I never been one of that guys who was so much into music theory, even if I understand a little, of course, and I'm not a virtuoso of the instruments. What I really wanted to do was to be a solid bass player, like Cliff Williams for CDC, or like Peter Baltus from Accept. And what I like the most is to compose. I've always had this thing for songwriting. In fact, I played few cover. Of course, I played a lot of cover in my life, but I mean, I have some friend of mine that they are the jukebox, they know thousands of songs. I was never so interested in playing cover song, which is wrong, because you learn a lot from the work of other musicians. But since the beginning, I was trying to write my own song.
Very cool. I love some of the studio vlogs that you guys have put out for ScreaMachine, particularly the one of yours where you're sitting there playing, and I'm assuming that's like the engineer producer. And he says, when was the last time you put new strings on that? And you're like, a few weeks ago. And he's like, put new strings on now.
Yeah, he's a maniac about that, because I have to say that Paolo Campitelli, the guitar player, together with Alex, Paolo Campitelli, the guitar player of ScreaMachine, it's also the sound engineer, the whole album. He made a hell of a work. Yes. And this was so important for the developing of our music, because, of course, we had the chance to record it very quietly, with no hurry, making all the changes that we thought it was necessary to do. And so it's real our things that, and he's so obsessed by new strings. So it's a kind of inside jokes. I have to say that it was kind of theatrical, because the strings were almost new, but for him also 3 days are strings are old strings. So it's always, he always keep on telling me, okay, change your strings. But he's a guitar player, and he don't know that bass strings are so expensive.
Right.
So fucking expensive.
Yeah. Oop.
Okay. Yeah. It's, I think I have the headphone with the Bluetooth, so maybe the
okay. Yep, we are back recording. You were saying about how bass strings are so expensive.
Yeah, bass strings are so expensive here in Italy. Something like 40. I mean, good bass strings, 14 euros, while guitar strings are about 10 or 15 euros. So you understand that before to change strings, I think a lot. A lot about that.
So going forward with everything now, Francesco, I'm assuming Europe is still pretty well locked down. I think they're starting to ease up a little bit. I've seen some of the stuff. Hopefully you're going to get this band out on the road, obviously, right? This is going to be a road machine as well.
Yes, of course. This is a band. This is my main project now. And of course, this music, it's made for the stage, but we are still in this situation. I mean, it's much better than 1 year ago, but still we have some lockdowns. We have some lockdown in France now. There is a total lockdown here in Italy. We're always between the red zone. And so it's still not possible to make any plans for our future live show. It's silly to do that, because I mean, a lot of bands are trying maybe to schedule their tour, and then they are obliged to cancel it, and this is such a pity. So I try to be very philosophical about that. Say, okay, when everything will be over, because it's going to be over, and I hope
Right.
it's going to be over soon, because right now they are making a lot of vaccination, how do you say, you know, medicine to cure the virus. When this will be over, I will we take care about that. Right now, I wrote also the second album.
Wow.
So
Okay. Well, I mean,
the songwriting for the second album, it's almost finished, because if we can go on the stage, okay, let's try to record the second album as soon as possible. At least when we will be on the stage, we could have a killer set list, because we could choose from two albums. What else we can do? What else we can do?
And that's what I heard Ozzy did. I think Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman were recorded almost back to back, you know, so sure, why not?
Yeah. You're talking about, you know, two of the most important metal album of my life, because when I started to play bass, I had a friend that was a schoolmate that was crazy about Randy Rhoads. So he wanted to play the song from all the Randy Rhoads tribute album. Okay. So he started to learn to teach me the root notes of that album. Say, okay, you just play here the C, here the D, here the A, and I make the solo from Randy. So I think I played almost the two albums in the fullness.
Very cool. Francesco, I always like to end interviews with just some fun questions. I'm hoping these are questions you maybe never have even been asked before.
Okay.
Favorite toy growing up as a child?
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite toy?
A favorite toy? Let me remember. You remember the Master of the Universe? He-Man?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I think that they could be my favorite toys. Yeah. A lot of great stuff.
Is there a secret talent that you have? You know, are you like a good, I don't know, craftsman or a builder, or do you know, some sort of talent that maybe nobody knows that you can do?
I can never stop talking for hours.
Okay.
I don't know if my friends are happy or not. My wife seems to be happy, but I don't know. But it's a talent I have. Okay. I have never remained without words.
Never at a loss for words.
No.
Given your choice of household chores, would you rather do dishes or laundry?
Dishes, because I have the dish machine now in my house. No, laundry is terrible. It's terrible. It's absolutely boring. Okay. I prefer dishes. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What else do I have here? Favorite superhero?
Okay, this is a good question. I think Lobo. You know Lobo?
No, I have not heard of Lobo.
Lobo. Okay. So. Oh, sorry. I lost. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I lost an headphone. Okay, so let's say the Batman.
Okay. Do you have a favorite villain?
Lot of villains are always much better than the superheroes. Yeah. Maybe it's too common to say the Joker, but the Goblin from Spider-Man or Doctor Doom, I love them. Or let me think, a lot of good Magneto. How do you call it? Magneto from the enemy from X-Men. I was raised as a Marvel freak.
Okay, yeah, good stuff.
But even if I love so much Batman, but all my love was for the Marvel heroes. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah. If you could go back in time and have your mom cook you one of your favorite meals from your childhood, what would you have her make?
I always love lasagna.
Lasagna?
Yeah.
Last one, and this is the one we have fun with. If they were to make a movie of your life, what actor would you have play you in the movie?
John Belushi.
John Belushi. I could see that. I could see that. Definitely.
A legend, man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've been chatting with Francesco of ScreaMachine, their new album coming out April 9th. Same name, ScreaMachine on Frontiers Records. 10 tracks of just classic metal with a total new production sound to it. You know, it's vintage and new all at the same time. Fantastic album, Francesco. I can't wait to see the world's reaction to it.
Me too, and thank you very much for having me here.
Take care, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.